Thanks to new possibilities emerging from AI-assisted methods, Viking Age scholarship is experiencing an unparalleled renaissance in material research. However, in regard to cultural transformation, some key aspects of a craft-centered analysis remain underexploited. A pilot study on urban metal casting debris initiated by URBNet at Aarhus University and myself indicated that Viking Age materials yield clues about the mechanisms of cultural transformation which are waiting to be explored. In line with this, Habit aims to generate a novel and empirically grounded theory on the materiality of cultural transformation by examining how the interplay of three factors, that is, urbanization, religious change, and the serial production of pictorial art, contributed to the incorporation of Viking Age Scandinavia into Western Christendom. The project title alludes to ancient craft processes as well as to the digital solutions of our day and age, which help us unveil them. Before I dive into the subject matter, I need to stress two things. First, I am no natural science expert. My expertise falls within typological analysis and art history, but I'm also eager to learn from others. Second, besides a few published pre-studies, this project is very much at the beginning, and this paper is only meant as a first reach out within a project that will last for 3 years. It is funded by the Swedish Research Council and will be a collaboration between Lund University in Sweden and Aarhus University in Denmark. Therefore, my main ambition today is to pitch a few balls to the audience in the hopes of receiving your kind feedback, either during our discussion slot or later on over some drinks. The Viking Age was an era that saw tribal societies transform into Christian realms with urban centers that would evolve into medieval towns. This process resembles interlocking chains of events involving a plentitude of agents. From an agent-based perspective, the urbanization of crafts is linked to the hypothesis that it was the craft people's response to new sales opportunities. From an institutionalist perspective, on the other hand, their absorption into increasingly urban emporia strengthens the hypothesis that it was the effect of some elite involvement, let's say, for instance, by some Christian king. A common denominator within both established views lies within the fact that they both disregard the potential role of material agents. But what sets Viking Age emporia apart from antedating central places is an exponential increase in standardized utility goods. These artifacts conveyed pictorial messages which carried some religious meaning. The standardization of the applied arts, as seen in the urban centers of the Viking Age, arguably, depends on changes within the artisan habitus, which were not likely caused by new sales opportunities alone. According to my working hypothesis, those changes were somehow linked to the very same gradual shifts of mindset, which also contributed to the emergence of the ideological superstructure that transformed the whole of Scandinavia. For certain historic reasons, which I do not intend to get into today, the significance of Viking Age craft work within the religious transformation process from pre Christian to, let's say, conventional Western Christendom has long been eluding us. But nowadays, artisans are envisioned as active creators of the social universe which they inhabit. Many choices within the manufacturing process are culturally conditioned and express a mindset. So, in theory, an analysis of operational sequences offers a key both to the habitus of individual craftspeople and to the inner workings of society during the historic transformation from pre Christian to Christian Viking Age. One crucial question that comes to mind is whether the art of casting constituted an arena where the differences between pre Christian and Christian ideology manifested themselves. somehow. Another question regards the outdated idea of cultural purity. Was the pre Christian logic really that contrary from the Christian one? After all, hybrid blends constitute an inescapable fact of life, as there is nothing that can be described as culturally pure. Instead, our artifacts and our behaviors tend to associate within many contradictory concepts all at once. Nonetheless, during the intersocial discourse, some of those logics finally gain the upper hand and start to materialize into distinct behaviors and into material culture. There may have been a point in time when the Christian logic reached that crucial point of becoming the new mainstream. The question is whether those behaviors started to manifest themselves top down, bottom up, or in more intricate patterns. One challenge with my study will be to link the institutional with the individual perspective, despite of the somewhat unpredictable results that an empirical line of research entails. All said, it seems imperative to analyze the habitus of Viking Age artisans, their pictorial messages, and how their output was received at different stages of the cultural transformation. Habit is embedded in a methodological framework based on informed grounded theory, which uses established theories to identify patterns that went unnoticed before. As such, I combine operational topology from archaeology, which helps me unveil craft processes, iconology from art history, which elucidates pictures through texts, and multimodal semiotics from linguistics, which unveil systems of communication. This way, I generate four main methods. Method number one is a production style analysis. It combines such fieldwork as typological sequencing, including digital metal casting experiments, and the material composition assessment of metal objects and corresponding casting debris to reveal different working styles within Viking Age and early medieval art production, which point towards existing cognitive structures. Method number two will consist of grave goods assembly analyses that feature innovative AI-aided matching studies. My analyses of grave goods assemblies intend to deliver contextual information, both in regard to ancient ideologies and to gender roles. And this entails, for instance, women's dual roles as defenders of traditional values and as promoters of Christendom. Method number three entails artifact biographies on grave goods, applying also innovative AI-aided matching wear and tear studies. My object biographies will facilitate estimates on the relative use time of jewelry and will help me decide on whether those items were purchased or handed down to the buried. This will bestow me with relative dates for potential iconoclasm. Method number four builds very much on method number three and entails a pictorial interpretation of jewelry decor with different genres of medieval texts. By then, all jewelry will have been documented as 3D modules, which allows me to explore the role of illumination and movement to achieve a holistic understanding of potential messages to different groups of receivers. My hosting department at Aarhus University in Denmark and my new home department at Lund University in Sweden have naturally not been chosen on a whim alone. Lund University has not only been becoming a fixed star at the firmament of digital archaeology, it also has access to relevant materials from important archaeological sites like the Iron Age central place of Uppåkra, the medieval town of Lund, and the Viking Age emporium of Aarhus in Scania, not to be confused with the Danish town of Aarhus. Aarhus University in Denmark, on the other hand, has long been conducting extensive research collaborations on Ribe, which is also known as the first of Scandinavia. Ribe has been seminal to the study of applied arts, and what sets Ribe apart is a spatial continuity which allows us to study how the casting of metal objects evolved through all development stages, meaning from an early emporium, which grew into a Viking Age center that would attract some royal involvement, and eventually bloom into a medieval cathedral town. Regional gaps in the archaeological materials can be supplemented by studies at comparable sites in Sweden, for instance at Birka, at Sigtuna, and at Lund, and of course elsewhere. The earliest metal casting finds at Ribe mirror occasional collaborative projects between specialists in different craft disciplines. It remains an open question whether these joint works were commissioned by someone. Later finds from the mid-Viking Age, on the other hand, seem to consistent with the idea that urban artisans started to prefabricate standardized metal products to sell them off, in accordance with a new market logic. The late Viking Age is represented by the standardized production of jewelry in the neighborhood of the latter cathedral church. And the high medieval era brings pilgrim souvenirs on a massive scale. Therefore, Ribe offers the rest of Scandinavia a key to many questions that concern religious change, serial art production, and urbanization, or the lack thereof. For instance, at the ancient central place at Uppåkra, which was eventually abandoned in favor of the newly founded town of Lund. It has therefore been natural for UrbNet to make Ribe a focal point for their quest to advance our understanding of urban development and urban networks worldwide. So, what is to be expected from my study? As stated before, I can only speculate on the outcome at the time being. It comes without saying that an empirical line of research, like the one that I am doing for my 3 years project, always entails unpredictable results. On the other hand, high risk and slash high gain gambles like mine seems to be something that the Swedish Research Council seems to appreciate. Therefore, I like to pitch some questions to the audience. To start with, do you agree on the idea that the operational change of the metal caster entails information of ideological significance that could help us distinguish between different groups of Christian and pre-Christian craftspeople? And how do we retrieve this data? Second, what are the pros and cons of AI-based casting experiments? And at which point are traditional experiments inevitable? Third, you follow my line of thought that an AI-based matching of jewelry from grave contexts with casting debris from early towns, as well as other sites, will bestow us with new information about the manufacturers, about their recipients, and about their mutual relationship. And last but not least, do you at all believe in the perspective of material agency that I am trying to implement? Would it be possible that changes in the metal production could have been a catalyst for the Christianization and for the urbanization of Scandinavia? Or do you feel comfortable with the conventional idea that all those changes within metal casting only were some kind of passive product of this cultural transformation process? So, these are my questions to you. I would be happy for your feedback either now or during our post seminar. And until then, many thanks for your attention.